too, so we're going to do at least something.
Who was that person, Frank?
Well, we've got some new people. So for those of you that have heard this before, tough.
Uh-oh, here comes the car.
Yeah, oh, that's Larry.
Oh, okay.
We do have a backup van if anyone, and I've got his phone number. If we need anything, he'll come and run up and get us. Run you over and get you. We don't have a good description of Clark's Trail into town, so there's a lot of things that we kind of have to suppose, and using the landscape that's out here, most of this is farmland and has not been developed to any big extent, so there's not a whole lot that's changed to the landscape, so we can kind of look wherever you see houses, they put them on high ground because this used to be floodplain until they built the levee down here. So that's a good indication of where the high ground is. This high ground that runs beside us here is actually part of the railroad tracks, and so it doesn't count. And you'll see that railroad track running as we do a walk down through here. You'll see it in several places, and so don't look at that as high ground. That was not. That's all been brought in. This site here is one of the possibilities for sugar camp. They crossed the river about 5 miles south of here and hit Lower Mamel, Upper Mamel, and then from Upper Mamel they came 3 leagues to sugar camp. The problem with sugar camp is there were probably 50 sugar camps. They were all over the place down through here, and so they didn't distinguish which one it was or where it was. Mamels, the Lower Mamel and the Upper Mamel, we know where those are fairly close. Bowman is the one that kept his journal. Most of his descriptions of distances are very close, and which is amazing. You're out here, you've been walking for 17 days and you haven't eaten in 3, and you're wading through chest deep water and you're still able to keep track of the mileage. It's pretty amazing. But most of his descriptions of the distances are pretty close. From Upper Mamel, he says they came a league to a ½ acre of dry ground that was the sugar camp. And from Upper Mamel to here is almost exactly a league. And so, to me, this one is the more logical for what sugar camp would be. The other one, you can see there's a blue building down there with a grain silo next to it. That is the other possibility for sugar camp. It's another mile down there, so it cuts that league about in half. So maybe is a little less logical than this one. The problem with this one is Bowman and Clark both say it was a ½ acre of dry ground. Obviously, this is more than ½ an acre. But they haven't eaten for 3 days and they've been wading through chest deep ice water, and they probably didn't survey it. So this is one of the possibilities. Coming here, just south of here is where they got into what they talked about being the chest deep water, and they thought they were going to have to ferry them in. And Clark wrote, which I knew would spend the whole day ensuing night as the vessels would pass but slowly through the bushes. As they finally got close to sugar camp, Clark's record says, I now intended to have them transported across the deepest part of the water, but when about waist deep, one of the men informed me that he thought he felt a path. A path is very easily discovered underwater by the feet. We examined and found it so, and concluded that it kept to the highest ground. It's an important thing to keep in mind as we do this walk. They found a trail coming into the sugar camp. Sugar camp was basically an extension of the town. Wouldn't that trail continue on into sugar camp, into town? If you found a trail coming in, why wouldn't you take the trail going out? It's an important part of what we're going to talk about down through here. This is where one of the Frenchmen reported seeing fires out in the flooded area, and they sent Mr. Masonville out to look to see if they could find anything out here. And what they found was that the account given by them was that preceding night was that the waters being out, they were obliged to take a circuit by the heights and lost their way. This is the same ground that Clark's out here covering, and some people say that Clark would not have taken the trails and would not have taken the roads because he's afraid of being discovered. Does that sound like they're going to be discovered? If you take 140 men and you cross out here in the prairie in chest deep or waist deep ice water, you think that's not going to be a visible sign? I don't think he was that concerned about the secrecy. Yeah, he didn't want to give away that he was coming into town, but also I don't think it was as big a concern. One thing we're going to talk about several times is what makes sense and what would be logical. In military history, they call it military probability. You know, if you were the